Hello guys, Ristavani here, bringing you a guide on how to do optimal damage as a DPS Barbarian. So let's jump right into it. First thing you want to do is try to get your stats at cap. This means everything besides power and HP, because power and HP does not have a cap. Now, for artifacts, for DPS bar, you want to use the Decanter of Atropol, because it gives you a damage increase for a significant amount of time, well over 30 seconds. For your artifact weapon, you would like to have Relentless Slash as your damage skill increase, and for your offhand, you want to have plus 10% critical severity. For your necklace belt artifact set, you want to have the Demogorgon set, gives you more damage based on the HP difference between you and your target. And then for your companion, you want to have a legendary augment. Pup is best in slot, but not necessary. You just want to have a legendary augment with as high runestones as possible. My player bonuses, I use Baby Deep Crow for offense, Island Stone for defense, Minstrel for defense, Iron Golem for defense, and Storm Rider for utility. My mount skill, I have Dominant Force, which is 5k extra power. And my insignias, you may see here, they're more geared toward defense versus offense, but that's because I also play tank Barbarian and I like to have that survivability. Now let's get into powers. Powers, at wills, we're going to be using Sure Strike and Relentless Slash. Relentless Slash is going to be your main at will you're using, because the only time it's better to use Sure Strike over Relentless Slash is when you are outside of Unstoppable. And with this guide, I will show you how we as Barbarians are inside of Unstoppable for 95% of the time. So you'll almost never be casting Sure Strike besides the 1 or 2 seconds you're out of Unstoppable. Encounters, Not So Fast, Bloodletter, and Endom Strike. And I will talk about Not So Fast in a moment. Dailies, you use Savage Advance and Avalanche of Steel for AoE. Savage Advance versus Crescendo. Crescendo cast time says 0.25 seconds, but it's actually significantly longer than that. The time it takes you to cast Crescendo versus the time it takes you to cast Savage Advance, which is actually shorter than 1 second, it's a DPS loss to use Crescendo. Even though it's not by much, it is a DPS loss, because the time you spend casting this, you could have been casting, Relentless Slash about 3 or 4 more times, getting more damage out of it. Class features, we're going to be using Trample of the Fallen and Barb Strikes. Now, feats. Relentless Speed, this is probably our most important feat. So when you're using Relentless Slash, you have a 5% chance to get an additional Relentless Spin. It goes on a separate cooldown than Not So Fast itself, so you can actually have the skill stack 2 times. Now, Not So Fast casts a slow when it's activated, and this slow lasts for 6 seconds. This slow does apply to bosses, even though it may not actively affect the bosses. So with that slow being on it and it casting slow, this activates Trample of the Fallen both sides of the effect. You get 5% damage every time you attempt to cast a control effect, and then you get 10% more damage on top of the 5% on everything that has the control effect debuff on it, actively giving you 15% more damage. So with this feat, there's a chance that you may end up getting an extra Not So Fast randomly during your rotation, which will only increase your damage by another 10%. Now, next feat, Blood Spiller. We use this over the Endom Strike one because, unlike the Endom Strike one, Blood Spiller will always have the skill hit for the additional 400 magnitude, while the Endom Strike one only works if your rage is at maximum, and you're not going to hold your rage till it's maximum, or else that's going to be actual DPS loss. Next feat, Over Penetration. You get up to 10% more damage for having 2,500 more armor penetration than cap. Easy, really a no-brainer. Steel Slam, it makes your avalanche of steel do additional effects. When you cast the skill, now you will do 4 pulses of a earthquake. These pulses hit for 250 magnitude and activate every 4 seconds. I'm sorry, every 3 seconds. And every time it activates, it also casts a slow, once again activating Trample of the Fallen. Best AoE ult, really a no-brainer. Relentless Battle Rage. Now this is between this and the Relentless Speed, these are 2 most important feats. So this makes your Battle Rage do 5% less damage, bringing it down to 10% from 15%, but every single thing you do that builds rage will double how much rage you build. This is what keeps us at battle rage in almost all situations. Now, I'm going to speak about the rotation and how it works, because it's an actual rotation. You have to cast your skills correctly, and when you cast your skills correctly, Barbarian becomes a very devastating high damage class that has very, very low cooldowns. So first you want to start off with your Relentless Slash, because it has a added effect that will increase the damage that you do by 5% for 12 seconds. After you do that, what you want to do is, I'm going to call this spin from now on. You want to do spin into Indom Strike. These cooldowns are the exact same. So you want to always make sure you cast these skills together. You always cast spin, then Indom Strike, because when you cast the spin, it will give you 5% more damage from Trample of the Fallen, and then give you 10% more damage on top of that for having the slow on it. And the Indom Strike, second hardest hitting skill we have, so it'll hit for 15% harder. When it comes to Blood Leather, we're going to cast Blood Leather first thing it comes off CD, every time it comes off CD. So just so it does the most damage possible. Now if you're rotating correctly, what you want to do, you want to go into Battle Rage as soon as you can, and then you're going to hold down Relentless Slash while you are in Battle Rage. When you're in Battle Rage, there's a good chance, because you're holding down Relentless Slash, that you'll get Relentless Speed, which is an extra spin. If you get an extra spin and you're midway through your rage or higher, you want to use that spin as soon as possible to increase your damage by additional 10%. If you are at the bottom of your Battle Rage, then you want to hold that spin until you come out, use that extra spin, then use your regular spin and Indom Strike, and you will now be at a point where you can re-enter Battle Rage even faster and stay in it even longer. Now, I'm going to demonstrate the DPS rotation, because I said a lot of words, and sometimes it's better to show you versus just tell you. So let's get all pretty real quick, and then we're going to do this. So I'm going to activate my artifact, and I'm going to damage this dummy for 1 minute as if it was a boss. I'm not going to use my daily, because I want to show you what the rotation looks like, daily or not. Here I go. And that's what the rotation looks like. As you can see, every time I came out of Battle Rage, my CDs was ready to be used, and I could use my skills again and go right back into Battle Rage, giving me no downtime on my damage. As a Barbarian, we don't hit the highest numbers anymore. We now just never stop hitting good numbers. So this will lead to us actually doing very significant damage. There is no downtime. And right there ends my guide. I will go ahead and post a DPS meter. I'll put a link in the description so you can see how much damage I'm doing for my gear. My stats aren't exactly the best, but they're good enough to do significant damage inside of everywhere I go. Thank you guys for watching and have a good one.